Hi guys, Ms. Davis here. I'm back for day 30 of the Anne Frank series. Can you believe it's been 30 days so far? We've been reading from the Diary of Anne Frank. It's crazy to me. So, this is how much progress we've made. So this is how much of the book we've read so far. We've read this much so far, and this is how much of the book we have left to go. So we're really making a lot of progress here. The last time we were together, the journal entry was too long for one 15-minute setting. It was a really good journal entry, though very breathless. So Anne was explaining about how they had this really dangerous situation where they'd been burgled again, but this time sort of had a confrontation with the boys of the secret annex, and then the police showed up, and it was just so much all at once. So I'm going to jump right back into that journal entry and finish that one and then move on into other journal entries where I think you'll find more breathless stuff happens, and so very high excitement in these parts of the journal. I'm going to read a little bit of what I read yesterday with you just to get back on the same page and then finish the journal entry. That's the long one. So she writes, and I'm on page 206 for those who are following along in their book. It says, I tidied myself and went down. Do you still dare to go to the front attic? He asked. I wondered. Or I nodded, fetching my pillow, and we went up to the attic. It was glorious weather, and soon the sirens were wailing. We stayed where we were. Peter put his arm around my shoulder, and I put mine around his, and so we remained, our arms around each other, quietly waiting until Margot came to fetch us for coffee at 4 o'clock. We finished our bread, drank lemonade, and joked. We were able to again. Otherwise, everything went normally. In the evening, I thanked Peter because he was the bravest of us all. None of us had ever been in such danger as that night. God truly protected us. Just think of it, the police at our secret cupboard, the light on right in front of it, and still we remained undiscovered. If the invasion comes and the bombs with it, then it is each man for himself. But in this case, the fear was also for our good innocent protectors. We are saved. Go on saving us, that's all we can say. This affair has brought quite a number of changes with it. Mr. Dussel no longer sits downstairs in Kraler's office in the evenings, but in the bathroom instead. Peter goes around the house for a checkup at least 8:30 and 9:30. Peter isn't allowed to have his window open at nights anymore. No one is allowed to pull the plug after 9:30. This evening there's another carpenter coming to make the warehouse doors even stronger. Now there are debates going on all the time in the secret annex. Kraler reproached us for our carelessness. Hank, too, said that in a case like that we must never go downstairs. We have been pointedly reminded that we are in hiding, that we are Jews in chains, chained to one spot without any rights, but with 1,000 duties. We Jews mustn't show our feelings, must be brave and strong, must accept all inconveniences and not grumble, must do what is within our power and trust in God. Sometime this terrible war will be over. Surely the time will come when we are people again, and not just Jews. Who has inflicted this upon us? Who has made us Jews different from all other people? Who has allowed us to suffer so terribly up till now? Is it God that has made us as we are? But it will be God, too, who will raise us up again. If we bear all this suffering, and if there are still Jews left when it is over, then Jews, instead of being doomed, will be held up as an example. Who knows? It might even be our religion from which the world and all peoples learn good. And for that reason, and that reason only, do we have to suffer now. We can never become just Netherlanders, or just English, or representatives of any country for that matter. We will always remain Jews. But we want to, too. Be brave. Let us remain aware of our task and not grumble. A solution will come. God has never deserted our people. Right through the ages there have been Jews. Through all the ages they have had to suffer. But it has made them strong, too. The weak fall, but the strong will remain and never go under. During that night I really felt that I had to die. I waited for the police. I was prepared, as the soldier is on the battlefield. I was eager to lay down my life for my country, but now that I've been saved again, Now my first wish after the war is that I may become Dutch. I love the Dutch and this country. I love the language and want to work here. And even if I have to write to the Queen myself, I will not give up until I have reached my goal. I'm becoming still more independent of my parents, young as I am. I face life with more courage than Mummy. My feeling for justice is immovable and truer than hers. I know what I want. I have a goal, an opinion, I have a religion, and love. Let me be myself, and then I am satisfied. I know that I'm a woman with inward strength and plenty of courage. If God lets me live, I shall attain more than Mummy has ever done. I shall not remain insignificant. I shall work in the world and for mankind. And now I know that first and foremost, I shall require courage and cheerfulness. Yours, Anne. So that's the end of the big long journal entry, and she ends it, I think, in a really good place. I mean, they've come as close as they've possibly been to being caught, to death and destruction, to the hands of the Nazis who are, trying to eradicate all the Jews in the world. That's the goal. The final solution of Hitler's is to eradicate every single Jew. And so I think that she ends it in a good place because she is acknowledging that she has faith and that she has all the inward strength it would take to make a difference in the world. And I know a lot of people lament that, the life of Anne Frank has been cut short. But I've said this before, in a lot of ways, she's not gone. She's not. She gets to be immortal because her words and her thoughts live on. And she has made a difference in the world. She says that I shall attain more than Mummy has ever done. I shall not remain insignificant. I shall work in the world and for mankind. And in her way, she really has done that. She's not insignificant. She's one of the most significant figures of all of World War II. Like we talked about this like two times ago. Everybody knows that face. Everybody knows that name. And so she really has not become obscure. And even now, her words hold such power and truth that in our daily times, in our trying times, we were reminded of Anne Frank. And so, in a lot of ways, she's like lending me her strength, her inward strength, and her courage. I just think it's amazing how books can do that, and I really admire her a lot. I want to move on to the next journal entry. It's Friday, the 14th of April, 1944. Dear Kitty, the atmosphere here is still extremely strained. Pim has just about reached his boiling point. Mrs. Van Daan is in bed with a cold and trumpeting away. Excuse me. Mr. Van Daan grows pale without his cigarettes. Duso, who is giving up a lot of his comfort, is full of observations. There is no doubt that our luck is not in at the moment. The laboratory leaks and the washer of the tap has gone, but thanks to our many connections, we shall soon be able to get these things put right. I'm sentimental sometimes. I know that, but there is occasion to be sentimental here at times. When Peter and I are sitting together somewhere, on a hard wooden crate, in the midst of masses of rubbish and dust, our arms round each other's shoulders and very close, he with one of my curls in his hand, when the birds sing outside and you see the trees changing to green, the sun invites one to be out in the open air when the sky is so blue. Then I wish for so much. One sees nothing but dissatisfied, grumpy faces here, nothing but sighs and suppressed complaints. It really would seem as if suddenly we were very badly off here. If the truth is told, things are just as bad as you yourself care to make them. There is no one here that sets a good example. Everyone should see that he gets the better of his own moods. Every day you hear, if only it was all over. My work, my hope, my love, my courage, all these things keep my head above water and keep me from complaining. I really believe, Kitty, that I'm slightly bats today, and yet I don't know why. Everything here is so mixed up. Nothing's connected anymore, and sometimes I very much doubt whether in the future anyone will be interested in my tosh. The Unbosomings of an Ugly Duckling will be the title of all this nonsense. My diary really won't be much use to Messrs. Bolkenstein or Gerbendy, and they get a footnote on these These two are members of the wartime Dutch cabinet in exile in London. So she's thinking that her journal, and then she closes it, yours, Anne. So again, she's thinking this journal is not going to amount to much and it wouldn't be useful to anybody. And oh goodness, how wrong you were, and how beautifully, wonderfully wrong you were about your journal not amounting to much. Um, which, you know, don't we all kind of do that a little bit? All the things that we do, these small things that we do, like I think a few times ago. I don't know what day it was. I can't remember. But I referred to a sign on my wall that says, do small things with great love. And, this journal seems like a small thing, but it has made such a big difference in the world. And we don't know. We have no idea the ripples that go out from our small acts of kindness and courage and love. And she says this here, my work, my hope, my love, my courage. All these things keep my head above water and keep me from complaining. I mean, boy, oh boy, that's something that's very poignant and relevant to today. We could complain, and if I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody in the last week say on TV or on the internet or over the phone, or if it's in my family right in person, oh my gosh, I can't wait for all this to be over with. Well, there are certain things that can keep your head above water and can keep you from complaining and despairing too much. And these are the things. Among these are work, hope, love, and courage. So take it right from the mouth of Anne Frank, who gets it right so often, that there are, and prayer and writing. I mean, these are things that can keep us going in a crazy, mixed up, sometimes horrible world. Um, it does give you perspective, does it not? Last journal entry of the day today, I believe. Yep. Okay, Saturday the 15th of April, 1944. Dear Kitty, shock upon shock. Will there ever be an end? We honestly can ask ourselves that question now. Guess what is the latest? Peter forgot to unbolt the door, which is bolted on the inside at night, and the lock of the other door doesn't work. The result was that Kraler and the men could not get into the house, so we went to the neighbors, forced open the kitchen door, and entered the building from the back. He is livid at us for being so stupid. I can tell you it's upset Peter frightfully. At one meal, when Mummy said she felt more sorry for Peter than anyone else, he almost started to cry. We're all just as much to blame as he is, because nearly every day the men ask whether the door's been unbolted, and just today, no one did. Perhaps I shall be able to console him a bit later on. I would so love to help him. Yours, Anne. So what I'm thinking about this journal entry is that, when you're living on such a razor's edge, when everything seems to be like of the biggest consequence, sometimes a little mistake, something little can be a big deal, when otherwise under normal circumstances it really wouldn't be a big deal. And I think it's a testament to Peter's character that he takes it hard. And he's a nice kid, and he seems to be upstanding young fellow, and all upstanding young fellows make mistakes, and instead of blaming somebody else or getting angry or bustling about, he just kind of like takes it on himself and feels really bad about it. So, and it was just a silly little thing. I mean, it's kind of all their faults. So I like Peter. But that's where I'm going to end it for the day today, because I don't want to get into the next journal entry because I want to pick up there tomorrow. I'll save it for another day. It's an exciting part. So those are my thoughts today for what they're worth. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.